My name is Phaedra, and this video is about AI, generative AI in particular. I'm going to, and I'll clarify what I mean about like what AI is and what kind of AI I'm talking about, and then we'll dig into the environmental impacts and the ethical concerns and Theodore Adorno's fascist car door. If you're watching this video, either you know what AI is or have a general idea about it. That's awesome. And by no means am I here to convince you that AI is wonderful and spectacular any more than I am here to convince you that it is evil and awful. AI is ultimately a very broad category, and it's important that in watching this video, you are aware of what kind of AI I am specifically talking about. Artificial intelligence, or AI, is a very broad term that covers things from machine learning to the recommendation systems used by Netflix or Spotify, strategy games, and even search engines like Google and Safari. Artificial intelligence is, quite broadly, the intelligence of the machine, what a computer can do that a human cannot. Crucially, all artificial intelligence that exists today is a limited form of artificial intelligence. A major goal of the AI field is to create artificial general intelligence, a machine's brain that can think and act on its own accord, like Data from Star Trek.
I am simply imitating the behavior of humans.
You're becoming more human all the time, Data. Now you're learning how to lie.
AI on the whole is an incredibly useful technology that has enhanced our society for a very long time. Since the invention of the computer, people have wondered and hypothesized about truly artificial intelligence. The basic logic of artificial intelligence is that since the basis of logic is the all or nothing yes or no, and since your own neurons are yes or no, all or nothing, either you have an electrical impulse in a neuron or you don't, there are neurons in your brain that don't light up on anything but hearing singing. Or wait, here's another good example on how different sensors work in a computer. You have pain neurons called nociceptors. They're everywhere in your body, but they are not broad pain receptors. You have pain receptors that only feel temperature, pressure, chemical pain, won't activate until they are given a stimulant. That's your neurons making a binary decision. Is there a flame on me? No? Then I don't do anything. If there is, then I can send a signal to the brain. And from here, the argument goes that if computers are capable of logic, they could also evolve into a consciousness not unlike our own. This is general artificial intelligence I'm talking about, and I'm proposing to those of you who are vehemently against AI, this is a real possibility that machines could have, and it is not what is happening currently. If anything, the consistent narrative that this AI is similar to artificial general intelligence is a fallacious one meant to obscure what it actually does. That is, it's an idea involving that AI is somehow similar or is the modern example of this fictional general artificial intelligence is just trying to obscure the reality of what it is, which we'll get into. Since I've clarified what kind of artificial intelligence that I'm talking about, let's talk about the environmental impacts. An unavoidable fact about AI is that it requires a huge amount of data. Not only does AI input a lot of data, but it outputs a lot of data as well. The constant training that generative AI undergoes to improve become a closer and closer imitation of real human text, code, images, art, videos, creativity, creates a huge amount of training data that is proof and the reference for the improved learned AI. A 2019 paper by Struble et al. For the University of Massachusetts Amherst estimated that training a natural language processing models such as ChatGPT, although they specifically studied GPT-2, produced as much CO2 emissions as 40 flights between New York and San Francisco for one person. The way that they estimated this was by training popular quote-unquote off-the-shelf NLP models like GPT-2, Elmo, Transformer, BERT, using the default settings provided, and then throughout the day sampled energy consumption from the GPU and CPU. They do some math things from there, like using the EPA's number for average CO2 emissions for power consumption, which, don't worry, took into account the ratio of renewable energy, natural gas, coal, and nuclear power. Not only this, but training and further training of AI uses an incredible amount of water. In a paper called Making AI Less Thirsty, researchers from the University of California system found that Microsoft's training of GPT-3 consumed 700,000 liters of water and estimated that the global demand for training AI might result in 4.2 to 6.6 billion cubic meters of water withdrawal by 2027. That is fresh water taken out of the ground or surface water. And even less information exists about the current GPT-4 that over 100 million monthly users of OpenAI's ChatGPT use. Then there's the water to be considered as either withdrawn and consumed that is used in the production of computer chips and in the refinement of steel, titanium, other metals necessary for the production of data storage. Then consider the role that coltan has in a data center and the training of AI. Coltan is essential to technological manufacturing, and yet the mining of coltan is critically detrimental to environmental and human rights. Coltan is mined in the Democratic Republic of Congo, where coltan mining companies take advantage of impoverished communities to hire as workers. Regularly, miners face the risk of landslides, cave-ins, and child labor is frequently used. On top of all this, coltan is mined in provinces of the DRC where the critically endangered eastern lowland gorilla lives, and the mining industry as a whole has contributed to the loss of 9.9% of the DRC's tree cover between 2001 and 2023. And while that's certainly not all due to coltan mining, a lot of it is due to coltan mining. And are there ways to remedy these environmental and human rights violations? Data centers can recycle cast-off water, treat the gray water that they make to cool and use again, building data centers in places where it's not hot, where they can just have the building be cold. Or building data centers in places where their demand for water does not compete with the local demand for water. Data centers could participate in carbon capture. They could make sure that their energy comes from green and renewable sources. And if I may be so crass, large tech companies could give a damn about human life and the miners that mine minerals for them that they would be nowhere near as rich if they did not have. All of this leads to my fascination with Adorno's fascist car door. Please hear me out on this one because I promise it comes back to AI. We'll read the full quote and then I'll break it down for you I'll tie it back. I promise I will work magic. Technology is making gestures precise and brutal, and with them men. It expels from movements all hesitation, deliberation, civility. It subjects them to the implacable, as it were ahistorical demands from objects. Thus, the ability is lost, for example, to close a door quietly and discreetly, yet firmly. Those of cars and refrigerators have to be slammed, others have the tendency to snap shut by themselves, imposing on those entering the bad manners of that of not looking behind them, not shielding the interior of the house which receives them. The new human type cannot be properly understood without awareness of what he is continuously exposed to from the world of things about him, even in his most secret innervations. What does it mean for the subject that there are no more casement windows to open, but only sliding frames to shove? Not gentle latches, but turnable handles. No forecourt, no doorstep before the street, no wall around the garden. And which driver is not tempted, merely by the power of his engine, to wipe out the vermin of the street, pedestrians, children, and cyclists? The movements machines demand of their users already have the violent, hard-hitting, unresting jerkiness of the fascist maltreatment. Not least to blame for the withering of experience is the fact that things, under the law of pure functionality, assume a form that limits their contact to mere operation and tolerates no surplus, either in freedom of conduct or in autonomy of things, which would survive as the core of the experience, because it is not consumed by the moment of action. Theodore W. Adorno. Here's my explanation. Adorno is not saying that a car door handle is somehow inherently a part of a fascist regime, but what he is saying is that technology is influenced by the politics in which it was created, and further influenced by the politics of its creator. It's important to understand that Adorno fled Hitler and Nazi Germany, then was exiled to the United States. His book, Minima Moralia, Reflections from Damaged Life, almost takes this position that a fulfilling life is impossible in the current climate of capitalist consumption. And is he really wrong? Your car door cannot be shut without putting actual force into it. You have to slam the door. You can't close your refrigerator gently. You have to slam it. And more in the United States, roads are created with the express intention of catering to the needs of cars rather than humans, leading to an absence of sidewalks, pedestrian-safe roads, less public transit, absence of a high-speed rail system. The limit of the function of a technology is influenced significantly by the politics of what allowed the technology to exist in the first place. The creator, the environment, the materials required for it, and how those materials are acquired, who needs the technology, and why the technology is in use in the first place. If our technology constantly requires from us violence to interact with it, even on as small a scale as closing car doors, then that technology is influenced by a policy of violence. So, circling back to artificial intelligence. My argument is this. AI created literature, art, videos, music. The ways in which AI replicates creativity is limiting, and the fact that AI is limiting is its point. The minimum use of AI is that you have a kernel of a thought, the beginning of an idea, and you relinquish that thought to the AI for it to parse out for you. Is that not the attitude towards an AI-generated essay? I don't have to do this essay, the AI will just do it for me. You relinquish creative ownership by refusing to participate in the critical analysis of the subject of your essay. I don't mean creative in that like you've got all the colors or you're making songs or you have a wonderful story. I mean that you, the hopefully college student watching this, or my teacher, shout out, mix. Oh yeah. I mean that like you, the person watching this, are foregoing the literal act of creation for your own particular work when you use AI. Not only do you not legally own your essay, you creatively don't either. So if you don't creatively or legally own your essay, you've forgone the critical analysis. The creation, development, and manufacture of AI involves a huge number of human rights, environmental issues. Then what's the purpose of AI? Is it to do what humans can't or what humans do not want to do? To me, it sounds like it does what we don't want to do, the things that we consider to be tedious or boring. But the tedium of critical thinking and the boring act of thorough analysis more so sounds like an active movement backward towards anti-intellectualism rather than a movement forward in humanity. The way that you utilize ChatGPT is limited to exactly what it wants you to do. Think back to Adorno's statement that things under the law of pure functionality assume a form that limits their contact to mere operation and tolerates no surplus. ChatGPT, by its form, does not ask of you to input your critical analysis and then correct the grammar for you. DALL-E doesn't ask for you to do an entire painting and then fill out the blanks where you've missed paint. Who gains from this? It certainly isn't you. You've been robbed of the chance to engage your brain in a critical thinking task that ultimately makes you smarter. You've also robbed yourself of a chance to create. The people who gain from this are people who use your data, which kind of just sounds like more CEOs to me. And at the time of recording this, I don't think any of us really like CEOs. So I'm just putting that out there. Anyways, if we accept the idea that technology is influenced by politics in which it was created, and that the politics itself is evident in the function of the technology, then we find that all of this smoothing of intellect is, like Adorno's car door, fascist. Not a part of any one regime, nor a pawn in the chess of politics, but both a result and a continuation of the necessary anti-intellectual stance that fascism needs to survive. If it can fool your teachers, then it can certainly pass as intelligence, can it not? And when your teacher grades you a B+, certainly it got you a grade. I mean, yeah, you got a B+. If you got your grade, then you get your degree, gets you a job. If anything, AI represents the problems with secondary education today. The emphasis on job preparedness and security often trumps the drive to pursue higher education for education's sake. It's not hard to see the ultimate conclusion of the rising college tuition prices, climbing student debt, and continual push away from the humanities as quote-unquote viable degree paths all come as a lack of appreciation for critical analysis and creative thinking within secondary education. If children and college students are finding that the AI doing the assignment for them is a good thing, then clearly someone has instilled in them the desire to not learn. But certainly if you're in a situation where the class that you're in is just for a credit and you find that the assignment that you're doing would be better off done by an AI and does not require actual critical thinking out of you. There's a bit of a dichotomy here, is there not? I don't have a camera, but I wish you guys could see my face. Hoo boy. It's also not hard to see how the continual degradation of the arts leads to the undervaluing of artists, and AI presents itself as an excuse for corporations to simply not hire artists. Why would I pay you when this AI can do it in a fraction of the time and for free? Does that question not necessarily place emphasis on the monetary value of the art rather than the value of the art in and of itself? From there, we can certainly see how this devaluing of art impacts the creation of generative AI art, in that for it to make your art, it had to go and find thousands of other people's art, train off of it without their permission, and then present to you the art that you asked for when you want a panda and Chester cheetah eating soup together. I don't know. I know I sure as hell am not putting that into AI. I'm painstakingly photoshopping that to prove to you a point about how much fucking funnier it is, pardon my language, when people put the effort into things. Additionally, utilizing artificial intelligence is nominally a way in which those in power can shift the burden of responsibility off of their shoulders. It wasn't me who denied your insurance claim, but that's also another fallacy. One, because AI has no sentience or sapience. No AI can understand morals. No AI can abide by morals because no AI knows those exist, because they, and I cannot make this clear enough, are not conscious. These generative AIs are not conscious. They cannot be held accountable, so it is inappropriate to use them to make decisions of ethical importance. At some point, I have to stop talking about AI and politics. If you liked this video and want more, I will very likely be able to refine this video and also extend it with more research, more of like my personal theory, and make it longer, because I had a time limit on this and I know I am not going to make it. So, I mean, like, this is easily like a 2-hour long video, and I'm not gonna do that because I don't want people to go crazy, okay? I can make it longer, like Brat, and it's the same, but there's 40 more minutes, so it's not. If you made it to this point in the video, congrats. Thank you for your attention. As someone with ADHD, I feel like a real winner when I make it to this point in the video. So if you have ADHD, congrats. Love you. If you don't have ADHD, also love you. Congrats on making it to the end of this video. I don't know if there's anything else that goes in a YouTube video essay. Bye!